Gen V, Episode 1, Series 1, title God You. And this episode, of course, is the beginning of the brand new spin-off of The Boys. Now, The Boys, of course, if you don't know, is set inside a world of superheroes. Superheroes exist in this world, but they're celebrities, they're run by a corporation, and they're not so good people. Or if they're good people, decent people, they have issues. And they have some demons, and they got some dark soul stuff happening in their lives or whatever, that makes them go into this kind of dark path and be like, this might be the most realistic take on, like, yeah, superheroes. It's not. It ain't gonna be, we'll get down and save the day. It's not gonna be that. It's gonna be a lot of corporations. It's gonna be a lot of like politics behind it. It's gonna be a lot of that. And, you know, and this show is also known to be very gory and also go after everyone. Doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, you know, politically, you know, if you're politically left or politically white, if you're, you know, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're Catholic or atheist, like, you just, they go after everyone. Like at this. There's a lot of social commentary happening. In the show, we're also having images that is going to burn into your mind for the rest of eternity. Season 3, I give you Termite. That's when every guy went, ooh, why would you want to do that? They get really creative with this universe, with trying to figure out superheroes, sex, people with powers, people without powers. Let's find creative ways of seeing superheroes same sex. And you just go, why would you want this a thing? There's a scene in this episode that makes me go, why would you be into that? Like, you're basic, like, so, okay, so one of the characters, fuck it. So you got one of these characters, right? And she's able to shrink. And the guy's like, oh, I find you hard. Can you shrink down for me, right? And she's like, fine, I'll shrink down. And I figured, oh no, don't tell me we're going to get Termite. Don't tell me we're going to get Termite 2.0. Please, 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 please. And literally what she's doing is hugging, like it's a tree hugger thing. She's hugging around his dick. And essentially giving him a hand job, pretty much, but with her entire body. And occasionally a smack on the balls and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, why would you be into that? Once again, not kink shaming. I get it, you know. Oh, you got a superpower, let's find sexy ways for the superpower to be involved, but I don't know. It's gonna be old fashioned, but I think there's a easier way to have sex, you know what I mean? Anyway. That one made me go like, what in the world? But anyway. But here's the thing about the spin-off. And clearly this spin-off is clearly a whiff from the X-Men, you know. Superhero Soul. Yeah, and there's a little bit of Hunger Games in there, a little bit, where you have sections where you are forced into what you are studying. It's like, welcome to our university, where actually you're going to go over here. Welcome to our university. You know, you are going to go over here. Here. And that might be you be part of the 7. You might get, you might be part of the 7. You might be forced to be part of the creative arts and be like superheroes dancing with the heroes, or dancing with the supers, wherever they take the take on Dancing on the Stars, and that. And so far, I'm liking it. I like this first episode. It is kind of hitting the tropes of like typical, like if you took all the superhero stuff out, you took all the boys elements out, it does feel very stereotypical. Like, okay, you got this new girl who doesn't really click in. She's not wants to be part of the popular group, and then she gets along with the popular group, and then she gets stuff happens, and it kind of, until the ending. Like, the ending, like, the last, like, I don't know, say 3 minutes of the episode, the last 5 minutes of the episode, that's when you go, okay, this is when we go differently. It's like, let's hit all these tropes that we see in college movies, for and so forth, with superpowers, and I'm like, with superpowers, and now let's move on. Even though, I will say this, in this first episode, you got a disclaimer about, like, worry, there scenes of self-harm, which I get, because our main character, Maureen, she has the power of blood, pretty much, where, kind of like Carnage and those, like element type characters, where she cuts herself, and blood drips up, but she's able to form her blood into different shapes and turn them into knives or weapons and that whole thing. Kind of like Carnage in a way. And I get it. Like, if you're constantly seeing someone cutting themselves, it might be a little bit stressed. I'm like, okay, I get you. But then it's a suicide. And I'm like, and after the episode, I was like, is that the scene they're talking about? Are we now living in a world where we can't do the big sacrificial lamb thing anymore? We can't just have... Because, yes, there's a point where a character kills themselves. Yes. But it's them using their powers. It is... Because in my head, I'm like, this is a... In my head, I'm like,
But you're living in a world of make-believe, with flowers and bells and
leprechauns and with funny little hats.
But you're living in a world of
I'm like, what in... I mean, like, did they test screen this episode? And people were like, and then, someone of the younger generation was like, oh, that you need a disclaimer for that. That's a little bit heartbroken. A lot of people, and yeah, we know it's in the superhero world and they're using their powers and all that stuff. Like, 13 reasons why I get, because it's realistic. Superpowers, not realistic. You get the drift? You get why I was like, really? You put a disclaimer on that? Okay. Or was it they're saving their butts? House of Dragon comes on, people cry about the birthing scene. Or, there's this scene and people, say he needs a disclaimer for that. I don't know. I found it quite weird. But here's the thing, the episode itself I quite like. And it has all the boys' raunchiness and wanchiness and all those type of things that makes you go, okay, yep, I'm in the boys' world, that's for sure. So, yeah, if you've seen the first episode, comment below what you think.